In a world filled with questions, where wisdom knows no boundaries, join us on a journey of enlightenment and endless learning. Eternal Teachings. TV. Discover the eternal.
Prologue. Into the Labyrinth. The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, has long been shrouded in secrecy, its operations hidden in the shadows, its successes and failures known only to a select few. But history, well, it has a way of revealing its secrets, and the CIA story is no exception. From its origins in the ashes of World War II to its controversial role in the War on Terror, the CIA has played a pivotal role in shaping the course of world events. Act 1. Birth of a Spy Agency. The OSS, a wartime necessity. The CIA's roots trace back to the Office of Strategic Services, or OSS, a wartime intelligence agency created in 1942. The OSS conducted espionage, sabotage, and covert operations behind enemy lines, helping to pave the way for Allied victory. The Cold War. A new enemy. With the end of World War II, a new enemy emerged, the Soviet Union. The CIA was tasked with countering Soviet influence around the world, and its activities expanded dramatically. The agency recruited agents, conducted surveillance, and engaged in covert operations to undermine communist governments. The Berlin Tunnel. A daring operation. In 1954, the CIA and British intelligence undertook a daring operation to tap into Soviet communication lines in Berlin. They built a tunnel under the city and intercepted thousands of messages, providing valuable intelligence on Soviet military and political activities. The U-2 incident, a Cold War crisis. In 1960, a U-2 spy plane flown by Francis Gary Powers was shot down over the Soviet Union. The incident triggered a major international crisis and derailed a planned summit between the United States and Soviet leaders. Act 2. Covert Action and Controversy. Iran. The overthrow of Mossadegh. In 1953, the CIA orchestrated the overthrow of Iranian Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who had nationalized the country's oil industry. The operation restored the Shah to power, but sowed the seeds of anti-American sentiment in Iran. Guatemala, the Arbenz coup. In 1954, the CIA backed a coup that overthrew Guatemalan President Jacobo Arbenz, who was accused of being a communist. The operation stabilized the region, but also raised concerns about US intervention in Latin America. Cuba, the Bay of Pigs fiasco. In 1961, the CIA launched a failed invasion of Cuba at the Bay of Pigs. The operation aimed to overthrow Fidel Castro, but ended in disaster, further damaging US relations with Cuba. Vietnam, the Phoenix Program. During the Vietnam War, the CIA ran the Phoenix Program, a counterinsurgency operation that targeted Viet Cong leaders and sympathizers. The program was criticized for its human rights abuses and its questionable effectiveness. Chile, the Allende coup. In 1973, the CIA supported a military coup that overthrew Chilean President Salvador Allende, a socialist. The operation installed Augusto Pinochet, a brutal dictator, in power. Act 3. The War on Terror and Beyond. Afghanistan. the Mujahideen. In the 1980s, the CIA provided support to the Mujahideen, Afghan rebels fighting against the Soviet occupation. The operation helped to drive the Soviets out of Afghanistan, but, it also contributed to the rise of the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. 9/11. The intelligence failure. The September 11th attacks exposed serious shortcomings in US intelligence. The CIA and other agencies, they failed to connect the dots and prevent the attacks, leading to calls for reform. The War on Terror, extraordinary rendition and torture. In the aftermath of 9/11, the CIA engaged in controversial practices, including extraordinary rendition, the secret transfer of detainees to countries known for torture, and enhanced interrogation techniques, which are, let's face it, euphemisms for torture. These practices were condemned by human rights groups and, unfortunately, damaged the CIA's reputation. The drone wars, targeted killings. The CIA has increasingly relied on drone strikes to target terrorists in Pakistan, Yemen, and other countries. These strikes have been criticized for their civilian casualties and their lack of transparency. The Snowden leaks. Mass surveillance. In 2013, Edward Snowden, a former CIA contractor, leaked classified documents revealing the extent of US government surveillance programs. The leaks sparked a global debate about privacy and security. Epilogue. The legacy of the CIA. The CIA's legacy is complex and controversial. The agency has achieved some notable successes, such as the capture of Osama bin Laden and the disruption of terrorist plots. But it has also been responsible for some disastrous failures, such as the Bay of Pigs invasion and the intelligence failures leading up to 9/11. The CIA's use of covert action and its involvement in human rights abuses have also tarnished its reputation. The agency has been accused of undermining democracy and supporting dictatorships around the world. Despite its flaws, the CIA remains a vital tool of US foreign policy. The agency continues to collect intelligence, conduct covert operations, and play a role in shaping world events. The challenge for the CIA in the 21st century is to balance its need for secrecy with the demands of accountability and transparency. Additional insights. The CIA's activities are often shrouded in secrecy, making it difficult to assess their full impact. The CIA has been involved in some of the most significant events of the 20th and 21st centuries. The CIA's use of covert action and its involvement in human rights abuses have raised serious ethical questions. The CIA faces a number of challenges in the 21st century, including the rise of new threats and the need to adapt to a changing world. Conclusion. The secret history of the CIA is a story of espionage, covert action, and controversy. It is a story of successes and failures, of heroism and betrayal. It is a story that continues to unfold, even as the world around us changes. The CIA's legacy is a reminder that the pursuit of national security is a complex and often morally ambiguous endeavor.